Hi guys, today we're going to talk about some diseased states when it comes to the cardiorespiratory system. But before we get going in that, I just need to explain to you a condition of the body called homeostasis. Okay, now homeostasis is the condition where your body tries to maintain a state around a set point. Now I'll explain that in terms of temperature is going to be the easiest. So I'm going to draw you probably the dodgiest graph you've ever seen. But in terms of our temperature, our body is really particular. So for example, for you to have a fever, you would only have, say, a 1 or 2 degree variance from our normal core temperature. So the body's normal core temperature is, generally speaking, between 36 and 38 degrees Celsius. So if we say that the middle point is, there we go, that's a bit better, that's the dodgiest 3 you've ever seen, 37 degrees. If we say that the uppermost acceptable temperature for our core, and when I say our core temperature, that's not the temperature of our skin, that's within our body. And the lowest acceptable temperature here is 36 degrees or thereabouts. So your body wants to maintain basically its temperature within these values. And what happens is you're sitting in a classroom, maybe your core temperature is probably around 37 degrees. Maybe you then go outside and it's a hot day, okay, and your body gets a bit hot, okay. Your body then does certain things to bring that core temperature back down so that it doesn't exceed 38 degrees. So, for example, when you go outside and you run around, you might end up with a red face, you might end up sweating, the hairs on your arms might end up standing up, and then the core temperature will come back down here. So the red face means that blood has come to the surface of the skin, and in doing that, it allows the breeze that comes up against your skin to cool down the blood if it's towards the surface of the skin. Sweat obviously allows you to cool down too, because it's like having a cold bath, but in your own liquid, obviously. If you were to get too cold, so if you're inside in a nice climate controlled environment and then you were to go out into the snow, for example, your core temperature would immediately decrease. But we don't want it to decrease too much. So again, your body then puts things into play that makes sure that your core temperature remains within these set values. So when you go outside in the snow, for example, you might start to shiver. In shivering, that is converting energy, and in doing so, that warms up your core temperature, and back your temperature goes. That's the dodgiest line you've ever seen. And so it continues. If you end up spiking a fever, then your temperature might come right up here. We might end up towards 40 degrees somewhere. And obviously then, and that happens often when we are fighting a virus and the white blood cells are really at work there, oftentimes we will need to cool that core temperature down because if the temperature was way too high, you'd end up with brain damage, and that's obviously not desirable. So cold packs or wet washes on your forehead or under your armpits or on your feet and things like that, and stripping down to just light clothing and taking things like paracetamol, they're the things that people do in order to bring that temperature back down within the normal range. Because when we're outside that normal range, we're in a diseased state, a state of dis-ease, okay? We're going to talk a bit more about what that means in terms of the cardiorespiratory system in another video, but the main takeaway points from this video was the term homeostasis, and the fact that that is the body maintaining a state around a set point. So in the example of temperature, it doesn't like to vary too much away from a standardized set point, and when it does start to vary away from that, the body starts to do things in order to bring the temperature back to the set point. Please go away, have a look at some websites about homeostasis, find some examples that will affect the cardiorespiratory system, and keep some notes. Really, really important. Thanks, guys.